Week 3 of the NFL season is here. I got 4 picks for Sunday. We got 3 game picks, 1 player prop on the way. What's going on? My name's Austin from Calling Our Shot. Let's do a quick recap of Thursday Night Football. A 1-1 day, barely making a little bit of profit thanks to the plus 105, 49ers minus 2.5, and the under 48.5. But Darius Slayton, oh man, he ripped the soul out of me. 2 yards short. He was so close, but I'm confident the player props are going to turn around. We got one I love at the end of this video, and then we got many more on Saturday's video, which we posted around noon Eastern time last week. The broom got brought out. We went 4-0 on props on Sunday. So make sure you check out that video if you haven't. And make sure you just don't miss out on any of our NFL videos. Just hit that subscribe button, drop a like too. Before I dive into our favorite plays, I actually want to talk about DraftKings real quick. And actually the best odds for all 4 plays, coincidentally, are on DraftKings today. So they got some good value out there, but they've also upped their bonus offer. Not only can you get $200 in bonus bets, you can up to $150 in no sweat bets or just, bonus bets if you do lose money on some NFL picks. How you claim it, top link in description. Make a $5 money line bet. Not only get those $200 in site credits, win or lose, you can also get up to $150 in no sweat bets on the NFL. So take advantage of all that. All details down below, as well as some other deposit matches and other sign-up offers. All those details are down below. It's another way to help support the channel if you use those links. But let's dive into our favorite picks. We got some game picks coming up first before that player prop at the end. We'll start with an over in a game, which I don't take a lot of totals, but I really like this one. I'm going to Bears and Chiefs, taking the over at 48 points, minus 108 on DraftKings. Now, some books are at 48.5. Obviously, if you can't take it at 48, go for it because you have a little bit of push potential, whereas 48.5 does not. But either way, I think this game has a good chance going into the 50s, and I really do like the over in this contest. And there's for a couple different reasons why. Now, number one, the Chiefs offense, we're going to need some points from them today. They're 12.5, 13-point favorites against the Bears. And honestly, their offense hasn't really looked all too good through 2 weeks. I mean, they had that, struggling game on opening night against the Lions, only scoring 20 points in that one. And then last week, they just really didn't have everything clicking against the Jaguars. But I expect them to get it going today against the Bears. And then on the other side, we have this Bears offense, which has looked absolutely terrible through 2 weeks. But I like their offenses to show up on Sunday. But let's talk about the Bears defense, actually, because they've allowed 27 and 38 points through 2 weeks. So the Buccaneers and the Packers, not two juggernaut offenses, really. And they've been getting smoked by them. Here comes Patrick Mahomes in hot. I could see Pat Mahomes putting up a big day. And then the Chiefs, you look at their defense, it's been pretty solid this year. Allowed 21 to the Lions on opening night. And only 9 points to the Jaguars last weekend. The 9 was impressive to the Jags, but I think that defense is going to take a step back this week. And Justin Fields is going to take a big step forward. Speaking of being in the headlines, the Bears have had probably one of the worst weeks that we've seen across professional sports. I mean, they got everything. They just had security equipment stolen. They got Justin Fields saying the coaching's bad. They got people liking tweets that are just saying the Bears are a trash organization from their players. It's been a bad week, and I think Justin Fields is going to step up on Sunday. Now, I know he hasn't looked great so far through 2 weeks, but he even said it himself. The coaching staff he kind of backpedaled on that statement, but look, I'll give you some stats. I mean, they just aren't using Fields the way he should be used. In fact, you look at Fields, just 2 total designed runs so far this season through 2 games for a big 1 yard. In his final 9 games of last season, Fields, 31 designed runs, 3.4 per game, after 310 yards, nearly 34 yards per game. If Justin Fields, if there's a thing that you love about him, it's his playmaking ability. What he can do when maybe the defense is breaking down, he can take off, make people miss with his legs. We saw all of the second half of last year. He had crazy highlight plays left and right. This year, they haven't really been there because they're really not trying to get him out of the pocket and make him do his thing. They're kind of letting him be a pocket passer, and that's just not Justin Fields' strength so far in his young NFL career. I think they let him get out of the pocket and go do his thing, and that's why I think the Bears have a chance of putting up some points here today. They haven't scored a lot of points since Justin Fields became starter, but if you could somehow get 17 to 20 points out of the Bears, maybe even more than that against the Chiefs, we could see Pat Mahomes go out there and he could score 35 on his own against his Bears defense, which has not looked good at all. I really like the over in this game. I think it's a surprise, higher scoring game. I know people are going to target overs in like the Broncos and Dolphins game, or maybe the Chargers and Vikings game. I could see this one being a very high scoring game. Give me the Bears Chiefs. Give me the over at 48 points. I don't touch a lot of totals, but I think this is a good look for an over spot. Now let's move on and let's get a 1 spread pick in. And then we got a team total we'll talk about. And we're going to a team that I have really quietly liked through 2 weeks. It's the Commanders, plus 6.5, minus 108 on DraftKings, as they currently are at home taking on the Buffalo Bills. Now, there is supposedly supposed to be some bad weather coming into this game. We'll see. I'm not a meteorologist, but if bad weather comes in, I kind of like that for the Commanders' chances, because then it obviously probably leads to a lower scoring game. Normally would prefer the underdog in that situation, especially if maybe it's such bad that you can't kick field goals and things of that nature. Maybe we see some wacky scores, which is where plus 6.5 could maybe come into play. But either way, I like the Commanders to be able to run the rock with Brian Robinson, who's quietly had a very good start to his season. And you look at the Commanders, they have looked good entering this game 2-0. They have 2 victories by 4 versus the Cardinals and by 2 against the Broncos last week. They've had to come back from down 6 versus Arizona and 18 versus Denver, and they came back and won those games. This is going to be a tough test. Obviously, the Bills are the best team they have played so far this season, but the Bills just have not been the same team on the road as they have been at home. At home, you would not really see me back in the underdog in that spot against the Bills. I don't really fade them at home against the spread, but on the road, we already saw them lost to the Jets in week 1, and that's obviously a divisional game, but this is Commanders team that suddenly their fan base has a lot of hope for this team, and I really like where Ron Rivera, Eric Bieniemy has made this offense, and the offense has been shown the ability to come back from behind. They also can play with the lead too, and I like what they've got going, and we've seen Ron Rivera. Here's a couple of trends for us. Ron Rivera, coach of the Commanders, coming off a win as an underdog. Rivera 25-9-1 against the spread in this spot in his career, the most profitable coach in the NFL after a win as a dog straight up. We've seen Rivera 12-4-1 against the spread when listed as a dog again. So this is a guy that's done well as an underdog and also done well, when he's won the previous games underdogs too. Vegas still disrespecting him. Maybe it gives him a little bit more bulletin board material. They obviously probably know they're plus 6.5 and underdogs. Things are going to come out here and play pretty well against the Bills team that obviously has Super Bowl aspirations like they have the past couple seasons. And another trend on our side, teams have actually done well when they go away from Denver. We see teams that play in Denver the next week, they've done really well. Last 5 years, teams are 24-10 against the spread in their next game following after playing in Denver in that high altitude, the most profitable previous road opponent in the NFL. So a couple cool trends. We don't just bet on trends, but I do like those trends to follow our way, and I like Coach Ron Rivera to be able to get it done, get his team plus 6.5, almost getting that touchdown. Obviously, I wish we were getting plus 7.5, but I like the Commanders' defense too. The offense obviously has looked well under Eric Bieniemy, but the defense is still pretty solid defensive line that can make Josh Allen's life a little bit difficult. And if it is rainy, we've seen Josh Allen try to force passes and maybe turn over the ball in crucial situations. We also could just see this game come down to, a field goal, or maybe it's a 4-point game. I could see that happen. I think the 6.5, a little bit too high for me. If this were a plus 4.5, I'm probably off of it, but I think the 6.5 is a high enough number for me to take it. If it is an ugly game, I think that bodes well for the Commanders. I really like that plus 6.5, one of my favorite spread picks of the weekend. And my third and final game pick of the weekend, we're going to go with the Cowboys. Team total over 27.5 points, minus 105 on DraftKings. Personally, I've never been, the best team total better, but I really like this one, and I really think they got a good shot at not only covering their minus 12.5 line they got right now, but also scoring 28 plus points, especially coming off a tough game against the New York Jets. Now, let's talk about so far through 2 weeks, we've seen the Cowboys offense and defense really show up. They've scored 40 and 30 points so far this year versus the Giants and the Jets, respectively. Now, obviously, this is a different team against the Cardinals, and they don't have Trayvon Diggs anymore, but I still think they're going to be able to get the defense will be able to set them up in some good positions, and I think they'll be able to move the ball against the Cardinals. I mean, we're talking the Cardinals team that was just leading 20-0 at halftime. They gave up 31 points in the second half to the Giants. So I certainly think Dak Prescott in this offense will be able to move the ball up and down the field. We just need them to convert those into touchdowns and not field goals. Last week, we saw the Cowboys kick 5 field goals. They ended up having 30 points. They ended up getting the over, but it was not pretty. I mean, it was not an easy way to get it done. They were able to be set up in some good positions due to Zach Wilson's interceptions, but only 2 touchdowns, only converted a touchdown in 2 of 7 or 6 red zone attempts. So I expect that conversion percentage to be higher on Sunday. And I certainly think they'll be able to get us maybe 3, maybe 4 touchdowns and maybe a field goal here and there. But 4 touchdowns would cash this bet for us, assuming they don't miss any PATs, which is in a dome in Arizona. So either way, we saw last week the Giants were able to convert 4 of their 5 red zone attempts. And then we saw in week 1, the Commanders only converted 2 of 5, but obviously, we still think that, the Commanders, it was still week 1. Offenses are still figuring out. Week 3, getting more, tools, more reps under your belt. I like the Cowboys to be able to go to get it done. Obviously, their defense is going to take a little bit of a step back with Trayvon Diggs likely out the year due to a torn ACL, but still, it's Josh Jacobs. He's looked decent through 2 weeks, but we could see this Cowboys pass rush really get to him, maybe a sack, fumble, really setting their team up in great position. Hopefully, they can punch it in. Don't mind Tony Pollard to score a touchdown either, but his odds are really juiced. So either way, I really like the Cowboys team total over 27.5 as one of my favorite picks of the week. Those are my 3 game picks. I'll be rolling with that. But of course, it's time for one player prop. There could be more I could put in this video, but I really want this one because I want to lock it in early before the line changes. Like I said, more player props will be coming on Saturday, the noon Eastern time-ish video. You can definitely check that out. We'll at least have 4, maybe even more props. I'm really liking the slate we got for Sunday. But let's talk about this guy, and it's a guy that I really love. It's on my team, the New York Jets. I'm going with Breece Hall, the running back, over 43.5 rushing yards, minus 115 on DraftKings. Now, the weather could come Washington, D.C. up to New York City to kind of ruin this game a little bit. But honestly, bad weather probably bodes well for this play. But I'm not expecting that to really play a big role here. And I really do think Breece Hall's going to have a good game. Now, before I talk into how and why I think he has a good game, let's talk about his game log so far this season. I'll put it up on the screen. So far, week 10 carries, 127 yards. A lot of them did come on one carry, but that's what Breece Hall does. He has that big play potential. The second week, last week against Cowboys, 4 carries, 9 yards. There's a reason why after the game, Breece Hall and a bunch of other teammates were a little bit angry, but Breece Hall tweeted out 4 football emojis symbolizing the number of touches he got. Only 4 carries is just an abnormally low line for Breece Hall. I mean, the Jets did talk about on Hard Knocks and talk about in general, they're going to work Breece Hall into the year, obviously coming off a torn ACL last year. However, in the first game back, they give him 10 carries. And if we can somehow get 10 carries this weekend, I will live with whatever the outcome of this bet is. And so far, fact, the bet books expect Breece Hall to get the rock. In fact, his rush attempts is sitting at 9.5, minus 140 on the over. Look, if we can get 10 rushing attempts, which I don't mind that line either, I think we've got a good chance here. But Breece Hall's shown the ability to hit this over with just, 5, 6, 7, 8 rush attempts. We know Breece Hall has that big play potential, even coming off a torn ACL. He still nearly housed one in week 1 for like 80 plus yards. And last year, we saw Breece Hall when he got the rock, he did well. And he was super dominant before tearing his ACL. In his final 6 games of last season, you saw his numbers: 50, 39, 66, 97, 116, and 72 yards. A lot of those games not even as the feature back for the team. I mean, the 72 yards was only on 4 carries. So, look, at the end of the day, the Jets are going to need to take the ball out of Zach Wilson's hands. They know that. I know that. We all know that. And while the Patriots do kind of know that too, they might load the box up. I still do think this is a decent matchup for him. You look at the Patriots, they've been a good matchup for running backs. The Patriots, 24th ranked DVOA versus the run. Last week, you saw them give up 100 and they allowed a ton of yards to Mostert last week. We saw them allow 54 to Gainwell in week 1. At the end of the day, they might load the box, but I still do think Breece Hall gets the touches. All it takes is 1 carry from the bust off, but I certainly think he'll get those attempts. Last year, we saw the Jets really struggle to run the rock against the Patriots, getting just 2.6 yards per carry and 3.4 yards per carry. That was with Michael Carter and James Robinson. This is Breece Hall's backfield. Dalvin Cook will still get his work, but I really think they're giving the ball to Breece Hall on Sunday, and I think they need to give it the ball to him. He might get some receptions here and there, but I think the rush yards is the better play to go. Breece Hall, we're rolling with you, man. Get the over 43.5 rushing yards. As long as you don't get injured, stay healthy, my friend. I should really, really like this play, which is why it's my only player prop in this video. But like I said, more player props are on the way. We'll post that video, and I'll link it on the screen once it is live around 12 p.m., not lunchtime on Eastern time on Saturday afternoon. Let's have a great Sunday. Let's dominate. Let's go 4-0 in this video. Let's go at least 4-0 in that props video. And then we'll also have our long shot video posted late on Saturday evening. Hope you guys have a great week. Let me know your favorite picks down below. I'm Austin. I'm signing out. Let's dominate week 3. I'll see you guys back in the next video. So wrap it up on the screen. See you then. Peace.